The FIA has cleared President Mohammed Ben Sulayem of any wrongdoing following an investigation into claims of involvement in the management of 2 Formula One races in 2023. But only hours after being cleared, he has been hit by legal action from Susie Wolff, who is seeking for revenge after falsely made claims by the president at the end of last year. As said only a couple of videos ago, Ben Sulayem was charged by a whistleblower of attempting to unfairly influence F1 procedures on 2 occasions. And before this investigation, the president was scrutinized for starting an investigation regarding Susie and Toto Wolff. The allegation was initially published in relation to last year's Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, where Ben Sulayem was accused of instructing race officials to appeal a podium stripping penalty imposed on Aston Martin driver Fernando Alonso. The penalty was dropped in response to Aston Martin's right of review appeal, which contained video evidence of 7 different instances of other teams committing the same type of claimed offence without being penalised. The other complaint concerned the inaugural running of F1's new Las Vegas GP, with the accusation that Ben Sulayem directed that the new circuit not be homologated for racing. The accusations were examined by the FIA Compliance Department, and the report was evaluated by the FIA Ethics Committee. The FIA further stated that the Ethics Committee was unanimous in finding a lack of evidence to substantiate allegations of any kind of meddling. The FIA described the probe as robust and wide-ranging and independent, stating that it lasted 30 days and included interviews with 11 witnesses. It stated that strong evidence beyond any reasonable doubt was submitted to the Ethics Committee to justify Ben Sulayem's release, whose complete cooperation, transparency, and compliance throughout the process was greatly appreciated. In a statement released by the FIA, it said, "After reviewing the results of the inquiries, the Ethics Committee were unanimous in their determination that there was no evidence to substantiate allegations of interference of any kind involving the FIA President Mohammed Ben Sulayem." It added, "Allegations against the FIA President were unsubstantiated, and strong evidence beyond any reasonable doubt was presented to support the determination of the FIA Ethics Committee. The President's complete cooperation, transparency, and compliance throughout the process during this investigation was greatly appreciated." Ben Sulayem did respond to part of the claims and stated that the approval for the Las Vegas track was his responsibility, and that if he wanted to stop it from being built, he had the authority to do so. Speaking to GP Racing magazine recently, he said, "The president of the FIA is the one who signs the homologation for the new track, or for all the tracks. I supported it. I could have said no, because it wasn't ready in time for inspection. But as soon as my team said it was safe, because I'm a driver, I care about the well-being of the drivers and the people around them, our staff and the marshals, I did it. It was a big thing. If I had said no, it would have been disastrous for F1, but it would have been legal, but I'm careful because I love the sport." Although Ben Sulayem loves the sport, he also loves controversy, it seems. And once again, he's caught up in it, and this time it could cost him, as Susie Wolff, managing director of F1 Academy, claims she has filed a criminal complaint in response to remarks made by Formula One's governing body, the FIA, in December of last year. The FIA stated at the time that it was looking into an allegation of information of a confidential nature being passed to an F1 team principal from a member of FOM, Formula One management personnel. The FIA did not name Wolff or her husband Toto Wolff, the head of the Mercedes F1 team, but they were identified as relevant persons in media stories from the same period, as a consequence of what Mercedes said was an off-the-record briefing to the media. The Wolffs, particularly Susie, were then publicly endorsed by F1 and Mercedes' 9 competitor teams, all of which denied being the source of any complaint regarding the allegation and expressed their support for Wolff in her F1 Academy role. Shortly after, the FIA issued a statement attempting to implicitly resolve the case by stating that there is no ongoing investigation. Wolff herself openly criticised the FIA's response as inadequate. "For 2 days, insinuations have been made about my integrity in public and through background briefings, but nobody from the FIA has spoken to me directly," she said in a statement. "I might have been collateral damage in an unsuccessful attack on somebody else, or the target of a failed attempt to discredit me personally. But I have worked too hard to have my reputation called into question by an unfounded press release." The same day, her husband's Mercedes team said it was in active legal exchange with the FIA. Wolff claims she has personally filed a criminal complaint in the French courts 4.5 months later, prompted by what she calls a lack of transparency and accountability in relation to the conduct of the FIA and its personnel in this matter. When asked about Wolff's actions on Thursday in Melbourne, Mercedes drivers Hamilton and Russell used the phrases transparency and accountability frequently. Russell's cautious initial answer, in which he emphasized the desire for right outcomes, truth and transparency within any case that is presented, drew sharp criticism from Hamilton. The 7-time world champion praised Wolff by saying, "In a world where often people are silenced, for her to be standing up sends such a great message. I love that she's taken it out of this world, because there is a real lack of accountability here. Within this sport, within the FIA, there are things that are happening behind closed doors. There is no transparency," Hamilton said. "There is clearly no accountability. And we need that. I think the fans need that. How can you trust the sport and what is happening here every day if you don't have that?" So hopefully this stand that she's taking now will create change. It will have a positive impact. And especially for women, it is still a male-dominated sport. And we're living in a time where the message is, if you file a complaint, you'll be fired. And that is a terrible narrative to be projecting to the world. So, especially when we're talking about inclusivity here in the sport, we need to make sure that we're staying true to the core values here. The latter points demonstrate Hamilton's critique of F1 conduct in general, rather than simply the FIA. F1 is now gripped by an ongoing issue concerning Red Bull head Christian Horner, who is still under investigation following claims of misbehavior against him. An inquiry initiated by Red Bull's parent company resulted in Horner's claim being dismissed, and his accuser was promptly suspended with pay. She has not yet been dismissed, and she is apparently appealing Red Bull's first decision based on the probe. She has also filed a complaint with the FIA. That is expected to push the FIA to become engaged in the Horner case in some manner, after previously avoiding any major public remark. Ben Sulayem has been criticised for allegedly attempting to get Red Bull driver Max Verstappen to openly support Horner and stating that the situation was harmful to F1. Ben Sulayem is frequently at the centre of such situations, and there have been a number of disputes during his presidency, with the handling of the Wolff case last year largely seen as one of them. When questioned if Ben Sulayem is the proper person to run the FIA, Russell responded, "You trust that the leaders in this sport have the best interests at heart, rather than their own." It goes back to the transparency side of things. If things are transparent and we see the outcome of these cases, we all have a chance to judge for ourselves with all of the facts and figures in front of us. But when we don't have the facts and figures and there is no transparency, you always think there's something being hidden. That's why I think it's so important for the sport now, as Lewis said, to send the right message to everybody who's supporting Formula One, watching Formula One, wants to be involved in Formula One, that things aren't just swept under the carpet. After all this, Lewis Hamilton was questioned if Mohammed Ben Sulayem still had his trust as FIA president, to which Hamilton responded, "He never has." What are your thoughts on the ongoing troubles at the FIA? Is Ben Sulayem's position still secure, or will he leave the position early? And what does this say about the governing body of F1? This surely can't be good for the sport. Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below.